Hi there. My name is Elaine Snyder. I'm new to Core Spirit and I am going to just give you a little introductory video to explain what I do when I give an oracle card reading. And I figured I would just, while I'm talking, shuffle my cards a little because that's what I would normally do. I'm cutting the deck. I would like to show you, of course, the cards that I actually use, which, if you can see that, these are Woodland Wardens. This is the deck that I've chosen, and you can see that Jessica Rue is the artist who created the deck. Very talented artist. The cards are absolutely beautiful. Here's one of them here. They're all animals and plants, which, tune into my energy very well because I tend to be an outdoor person. I love the woods particularly. It's one of my favorite places. So, of course, I chose this deck because it felt aligned, which that's just kind of a fancy way of saying it felt right to me intuitively. So I'm just shuffling my deck a little. And when I tend to give a reading for a person, it's not like a tarot deck, which if you're unfamiliar with oracle cards, they are different than a tarot deck. They maybe have more things in common with, say, angel cards, which you may have seen before. If you're unfamiliar with oracle cards, they're simply the decks are not they're not limited by the number of cards you're allowed to have in a deck the way it is with tarot. So, for instance, a deck of tarot cards would have 78 cards, and there's a specific set of suits that you work with, and you need to memorize them all and understand what each card's meaning is meant to be, and each deck is slightly different in the way that it looks. Of course, the art will change from one tarot deck to another, but largely speaking, a tarot deck is going to have the same number of cards and the same number of suits, and it's going to have a similar reading from one person to another in terms of how readings are done, because the cards are specifically meant to be read a certain way. Now, with oracle cards, there's a slight difference in that you don't have to memorize each meaning of each card because, as you saw, here's another one. Each card has its own set of, it's got its own set of artwork, it's got its own meaning. It has, on this particular card, you can see what it's written down at the bottom. So this card says the bear and cedar, and that signifies leadership in this particular deck. Every single deck is going to be a little different in terms of what they're going to signify. Each piece of art on every card is going to have a different significance depending on the artist and who creates it. But the basic bottom line is that when you have a card in an oracle deck and then you place the cards in front of you in what we call a spread, then whatever number of cards you have is going to resonate with whatever question was asked by the person who's getting a reading. So you can run a reading for yourself or you can run a reading for someone else. Either way, the deck is definitely more about focusing the reader's energy around a specific question, and then you use the cards to interpret what's coming through. And if you believe in that kind of thing, you understand that this is all very intuitive. And generally speaking, a person who gives a reading in this fashion often is, you give the choice to the person who's asking the question and getting the reading to choose the specific cards that they're going to use in the reading. And that's often how you then, I guess you would say, intuitively get the right kinds of cards set up for the answer that they are looking for. And so what I tend to do is, if I'm going to do this online, I will have the cards in front of me kind of like this, and then I'll just, I'll place my hand on the deck perhaps and ask a person I will just place my hand over the deck and I will ask them to tell me to stop, and then I'll choose a card, or I'll place it in front of me on the table and I will put my hand over and I will ask them to tell me when to stop, and then I will pull the card that is the choice that they've made, so that they intuitively are getting the cards that most align with what they need to see. Now, once again, I'm just shuffling. This is just, once again, a thing that we do. We shuffle the deck so that we make sure that they are all in a different order every single time for every single reading. And then you can do one card if you like, which if I were to pull one card and I pull this one, you can see this particular card here. Oop, it's upside down. My apologies. The Bat and Hellbore. You would think that that's a scary card, perhaps, but actually, this card indicates intuition. That, I think, works very well for this video, and almost in a way kind of proves the point that intuition is what guides oracle readings, and intuition is what I'm using to gauge and read a person's energy, as well as events in their lifeline and significant and important emotional conditions that might be happening for a person at a particular time. And generally speaking, I tend to read into events in a timeline of a person's life and then give a little guidance about what their guides might be saying about what needs to come from them in terms of choices, in terms of behaviors, in terms of thoughts that they might be having, in order to guide that person toward a successful outcome for what they might be wanting when they have a reading. So it is a very interesting and fun way to meet people and to learn more about them. And of course, every single reading that I give is entirely, you treat it very much like you would a doctor-patient confidentiality relationship, where every reading I give is entirely confidential. I never share that information with any other person, and it's entirely up to you whether or not you want to share what you found with somebody else. So every reading confidential, and again, it's all about the connection that a person gains through intuition. So I hope this was a helpful video for you to learn what to expect from a reading and whether or not you understand the oracle cards that I use when I give readings as opposed to tarot. Again, just a slightly different way to use a focus in order to use intuition to find out what a person needs to hear in that moment. And that's really what guides me. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I look forward to offering more videos and more insights into how this all works. So good to meet you here, and I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.